And Marge in Torrance, California, you were the first woman to wear a miniskirt before the Supreme Court?
Yeah, and Tom, I did something more you ought to know. First of all, I was the first woman bank lawyer in 1961. And it cost the bank a lot of money when the Justice Department represented me in an EEOC action that went to the United States Supreme Court twice.
Wow.
I also then became area director for Neighborhood Legal Services. And I've never taken judges more seriously than anybody else. As someone once said, we all put on, I think Nader is saying now, we can get rid of those 532 guys. They all put on their shoes just like we do. But the thing is that during 1954 there was a dress code, and the Supreme Court sentenced a woman to major sanctions for wearing short sleeves and a knit suit. So when I became active at Neighborhood Legal Services and especially in community activities, I came into court. I first went up to the United States Supreme Court, and before the Warren Court, I wore a miniskirt. But we had to ask permission, and it turned into a really fun and games thing. My parents had the joy of watching me stand up while Chief Justice Warren says to me, "Ms. Buckley, it's really a pleasure to welcome you to this court." But then I appeared to argue before the United States Supreme Court, and as Judge Blackmun put it, when I had to go and ask if it was all right to wear a pantsuit, he said to me, "We don't really care as long as you are neat and clean, but Chief Justice Berger isn't going to like it." So I wore my pantsuit anyway because the clerks told me that that Berger would never dissent unless he could get somebody else to do it with him.
Wow.
But it was really, and by the way, I won 9-0 the right for poor people in this country to be candidates, for all the poor people in this country to be candidates for political office without paying fees. The problem is that with United Citizens, there went my glory out the window, and there go the rights of poor people out the window.
With the Citizens United decision. Yeah, I'm with you. I was reading this legal blog this morning, and it said that, and now I think I've lost the page. Oh, here it is. That before the United States Supreme Court, until the 1970s, they required attorneys to wear what's called morning dress. And for men, this is striped trousers, a gray ascot, a waistcoat, and a cutaway morning coat. This is stuff that you see in movies from the 19th century. Is that how the Solicitor General was dressed? And apparently Elena Kagan, when she became the Solicitor General, showed up in a pantsuit and just kind of blew everything up.
Well, in 1973, when I argued before the United States Supreme Court, which is, by the way, a powerful experience, but the problem, you see, I think with the miniskirt issue, was that here you had 9 old men in dresses, and here came a ballsy female lawyer who challenged him.
Right. Right.
And it probably made them wonder what the hell was going on. But no, in 73, when they wrote the article up about someone appearing in a pantsuit, they didn't bother to talk to me. But what they did do was they said that the attorneys appearing on behalf of the government had to wear these uniform kinds of things. And what they did with the women was, while the men wore pants and then the long tails, women wore striped skirts and then the long tails.
Wow.
And, it's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
And the thing is that when I was before the California Municipal Court, and I and I came in a pantsuit, the judge offered to throw me in jail if I didn't go home and put on my clothes. I was area director for Neighborhood Legal Services at that point. We were well organized. So my community, we immediately went out. I got 10 lawyers to come and represent me, and we had our group of people immediately called City News. City News called the attorney and said, the judge, and said, "Are you really going to send her to jail?" At which point he called the presiding judge. And the presiding judge said, "What'd you say her name was?" And he said, "Oh, Buckley or something." He says, "Get rid of her. Get rid of her. You'll be on TV tonight. You'll look like a silly ass. Get rid of her." Huh. And he tried, but I would not go until he acknowledged the fact that I refused to take my pantsuit off. After that, for a long time, I never wore anything except pantsuits.
That's a remarkable story, Marge. Why do you think it is that women have gone through this and men have basically not, and that men haven't felt the need to buck that? I mean, you don't see men wanting to show up before the Supreme Court, without a tie on, for example, or without a sports coat. I'm.
It's because they have the rank, they have the privilege, and therefore it doesn't bother them to have to wear the fancy clothes, which cost them a lot of money. But I'll tell you, during the 60s and 70s, it was in the 70s that I was area director. I mean, I wore my uniform when I was at the bank for 5 years, and I didn't do it was partly because it was a business thing, and it wasn't until I got bored and was willing to challenge both their refusal to give me a title. I mean, they kept giving me pay raises, but they wouldn't give me a title. Right. And I think it has to do with male attitudes. I mean, I think the problem is that in our patriarchy, the fact that you are a male brings certain privilege to you.
Yes.
And during the 60s and 70s, some of the men did go around. I saw one activist attorney who used to appear with a beard and in cowboy boots and a cowboy hat. And it was a challenge, but most of the attorneys didn't feel that way. They were having their fun in their Brooks Brothers, suits.
Right.
They could afford all of that, and unless you were an attorney for poor people, you really.
That's right, Lee. What was the guy's name? Lee. His first name was Lee, who was a famous lawyer. He used to wear cowboy boots and.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is 2014, right?
Yeah.
And
that was back in the 70s and 80s. I back in '99, I think it was, or 2000, I got an invitation to a private audience with Pope John Paul II, and so I replied asking if my wife could come with me, and they said yes, she could, and then they proceeded to send a 14-page fax about how she should dress. There had been nothing about how I should dress, but all this detail about what she had to wear, what had to be covered, what couldn't be covered. And they said that the Pope would not, she should not extend her hand to the Pope. She should not speak to the Pope if she was beside me. When we finally got up to meet the Pope, he turned to Louise, reached out, shook her hand, and engaged in conversation with her. She was a nice guy, but it's like they're. I mean, it was like double standard on display. And so you're if I'm understanding you correctly, Marge, what you're saying is that women who are dressing in ways that are unconventional in the courtroom are not doing it. They're not trying to sexualize anything. They're simply trying to assert in some way their prerogative and power in defiance of male authority and power, which is traditional and ingrained.
Yeah. I think I'm saying a lot of that, right? I think that, and I think it's also a blow at this idea that we all need to be uniformed.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, of course.
F. Lee Bailey was the guy I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yes, pardon my.
But I have to say that I had a reputation for raising issues and those which I thought were kind of important, and and I actually managed to do some work that did change some of the law. In fact, I was counted just recently as one of the women who, in the last century, because I was very active in the civil rights movement. I was at Wounded Knee. I was at Mississippi doing some work with the Freedom Houses on my first vacation as a bank lawyer. And the first thing that happened when I got back was I had lunch with some of the officers whom I served. I was their generalist. And they said, "Did you have a good vacation?" I said, "Yeah." And they said, "What'd you do?" I said, "Oh, I went down to Mississippi." And that was when Viola Lusa was killed, by the way. I was down there then. And I said, I was, working in the Freedom Houses. And he said, "Oh, you're such a kidder." And I said, "I'm not kidding." So he says, "Well, can we go and have a beer tonight? And you can tell us about it?" And I said, "Well, I'm sorry." I said, "But I have to go over to the jail." And that's where I met, I have to go over to the jail because the Watts riots had happened, and I needed to help people get out of jail.
Wow. Marge, it's an honor talking with you. I'm sorry that the automation equipment here has fired the brake. I have no control over it. But thank you so much for sharing your stories with us. It's great to hear from you.